Well, I think we are live. Hey, everybody. This is Jarrod Albrecht, the yard sale artist here from the Longbox Crusade headquarters. Hoping you guys are having an excellent Wednesday. I figured I'd do a little midweek video, little pop-up video action for you. I haven't done a mail call in a little while, and I thought I would do one today. So I have a box that came in the mail, and we're going to do a mail call. Hey, hi, and howdy to everybody who's stopping by to take a peek and say hello. Sound off in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. I have a package here from La La Land Records soundtrack CD. Anyway, the folks that make the expanded special edition movie and TV soundtracks. And recently, I went a little hog wild in their sales section. I went into their clearance section. I took a look around, and I found a whole bunch of neat movie soundtracks. Little something about me that you may not know, and I'll even do this while I'm opening the box. I collect movie soundtracks on CD. I tend to get the ones that I, clearly either really, really love the soundtrack, or if I really, really like the movie, sometimes I'll add it. Most of the time, I find my soundtrack CDs at, Goodwill, yard sales, things like that, as you guys know. But again, I'm a big fan of the La La Land. They do, like I said, they do the expanded ones. They add more tracks, and go do sort of a deeper dive than the regular soundtrack that came out when the movie was popular. So yeah, they do a really good job. They run a real classy operation. They're not sponsors of the show or anything like that by any means. This isn't a sponsored video. We're not cool enough for that. Hey, if anyone from La La Land is watching, though, we are willing to make a deal. But I am just a fan who collects CD soundtracks. So I got this big package tee that I just got from La La Land, and I'm opening it up with you guys. I ordered a whole bunch of CDs. We'll go through each one of them. If you can sound off in the chat with your thoughts on them if you like. And we're going to get started. Plenty of bubble wrap for everybody. If you need bubble wrap, I have it. Again, I hope everybody's having a fantastic Wednesday, a little midweek video for you guys. All righty. Let's see. I'll just start pulling them out, I suppose, and we'll look at them one by one. I'll count them real quick. I don't want to spoil for myself, so I don't want to look too closely at them. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 CDs to go through. So let's find out. More bubble wrap. let's find out what's going to be going into Jarrod's soundtrack CD collection from the good people at La La Land. All right, first one up. I bought the Nelson Riddle Batman 66 expanded CD soundtrack collection. So I'm pretty excited about that one. It's got all the soundtrack selections from Batman 66. This is it one disc or two? I think it's one disc, but 32 tracks of the score and the soundtracks used in Batman 66 TV show. So that's the first one out of the box. I'm pretty excited about it. All right. I guess we're going back to the box. Let's find out what the next one is. We've got, if I held it not upside down, that would probably help. Friday the 13th, part 5. Friday the 13th, part 5. There you go. This is another one disc. You know what's going to really help me out with this? Bear with me as your boy, the yard sale artist, has gotten a bit older. This is a 31 track CD. It does contain previously unreleased material and some stuff they recorded for the film but didn't actually use in the film. This is the beauty of La La Land, is they'll do that. They dig deep. They go into the archives of movies and they'll find unused tracks from the composer, stuff like that. So yeah, this is Friday the 13th part 5. Yep. Expanded soundtrack. Next up. What up, Billy D in the chat? Always nice to see you, my friend. He's chatting at us from Facebook today. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello, buddy. The Friday the 13th train is going to continue. I think it's the same composer. Yeah, composer for part 5 was Harry Manfredini. And he also composed Friday the 13th part 2, Potato Sack Jason. I got that one as well. This is, again, expanded, previously unreleased material. It has some, again, like the other, like the Friday the 13th part 5, it has some stuff that Manfredini did for the movie that was unused. So you get to hear his unused tracks as well. This one has 28 tracks of material to it. So again, I know this sounds like a commercial for La La Land. They're not a sponsor, but I just love what they do. If you have certain movies that you're really fond of the soundtrack, I certainly encourage you to check out La La Land Records. They do a great job of just digging into those archives, finding those unused tracks, or I really like it, especially when they find tracks that weren't on the original CD release when the movies came out and they were popular and all that. They usually release a soundtrack. La La Land will go find tracks that were in the movie but not on the soundtrack, and then sometimes they'll go even deeper, like I said, in these Friday the 13th ones, where they'll find stuff that the composer wrote for the movie that probably got edited out or they decided not to use it or whatever, but you get everything. We are going to stay on the Friday the 13th train with Harry Manfredini. Friday the 13th part 3. This is the one where he actually gets the hockey mask, for those of you who love your Jason Voorhees lore. If you see childhood Jason very briefly in the first one, you see grown-up Jason the second one, but that's where he wears the potato sack on his head. Third one is where he gets the hockey mask. And let's see what we got here. 31 tracks, some previously unreleased, and a couple of tracks that were recorded but not used in the final cut of the film. So what I'm learning here is that Manfredini probably kept really good track, no pun intended, of his stuff, and La La Land was able to get with him to make these really, really cool expanded soundtracks. Staying in the Jason Voorhees vibe, and again, my boy Billy D chimes in from over on Facebook. He says he loves the potato sack. So if you love Potato Sack Jason, part 2 is the one for you. I actually got to meet Potato Sack Jason. I was doing a show. I was selling my art wares at I think it was Joe Fest in Augusta, Georgia, a couple years ago. And he was there, and chatted with him for a little while. He was very nice to me. But anyway, that's Potato Sack Jason. We are continuing our drive through Jason Voorhees, part 6. Is this Manfredini as well? It is. It is Harry Manfredini. And this one has 19 tracks and also contains tracks that were recorded for the film but not used, and some of the tracks previously unavailable. So, bam. So I currently, what do we got now? That's 6. We did parts 2, 3, and 5. So we have 2, 3, 5, and 6. And of course, we started this whole thing off with the Batman 66 complete CD. And there's more to come. All right. Did you ask for Friday the 13th part 7? Because if so, I also have Friday the 13th part 7. Also, Manfredini with music also by Fred Mullen. 39 tracks on this one. Let's see. Features music from Friday the 13th, part 6. Features music from the original Friday the 13th. Features music from Friday the 13th, part 2. So they even found some extra tracks to put onto the part 7 CD. So there you go. I've got a lot of spooky music to listen to, and it's not quite over yet. How about Jason Takes Manhattan, Friday the 13th, part 8? Bam, bam. Man, I remember this one being a big thing. This one came out the same summer as Batman. In fact, I want to say there's a scene when he's in Times Square, because he doesn't actually get to Manhattan until the end of the movie. Spoiler. But when he does, I want to say in Times Square, there's actually Batman advertising that you can see pretty clearly in that scene. All right, 19 tracks. Bonus stuff that they recorded but didn't use in the film. All kinds of stuff. But folks from La La Land Records do a fantastic job. So that's Friday the 13th, Part 8. Special edition, or they call it limited edition. I know. Every CD they do over at La La Land ends up being limited to usually a few thousand copies. They do such a good job with their stuff over there. All right, a few more Friday the 13th to go. Again, I was just fleecing the clearance section. This is a 2-disc Friday the 13th Part 2. That's Potato Sack Jason, right? And I think we mentioned Potato Sack Jason earlier. And you may be asking yourself why there are 2 versions. And the difference is this one that we already talked about is the expanded, and this one here, the one I just pulled out, has even more stuff on it. They have some differences. I had to look to make sure they had differences because I don't want to buy the same thing twice. They do have some. This one has added tracks on it. This one doesn't have, but this one has a ton. The Friday 13th Part 2 limited edition is a 2-discer because it also includes, it's hard to see on the very bottom, Part 3. So this has Part 2 and 3. It's a 2-disc. This one just has the expanded Part 2. So now we've nailed down Friday 13th, 2, 3. Did I have 4? Let's see. Yeah, I did have, nope, that's 6. So we got 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 7. We've almost got them all. My friend Billy D over there in the chat says he loves the first 3 Friday the 13th movies. I like them all in one regard or another. I like when they get bonkers. I kind of like it. Speaking of which, Friday the 13th final chapter, which I think is that 9? Which also, no, final chapter is, I can't never remember. You guys are gonna have to tell me. I want to say final chapter is 4. Anyway, this is another double disc. Friday 13th final chapter, and also includes, again, hard to see at the bottom, the second disc of Friday 13th Part 5. So tons and tons of Voorhees music. I think we're finally done with all my. I cleared out the Jason Voorhees section. There's all the CDs from the Friday the 13th selection. I will not be hurting for Manfredini music for a long, long time. Okay, let's move in to something. Oh, wait, no, I lied. I do have at least one more Friday the 13th. I want to make sure. Yeah, one more Friday the 13th, and then we'll go on. The original. The OG. I think I have almost every movie in there now. Original Friday the 13th, and this one is 33 tracks. Some previously unreleased tracks that were on the film, but never were put onto CD, and some tracks that were recorded for the film but got edited out or were decided to be unused or whatever. So, I mean, the absolute complete music package was the first one Manfredini as well? Sure was. That dude's been crafting music for Friday the 13th for a long time. He had a good gig and he was not leaving it. All right, we are done with the Friday the 13th. I still have a good handful of CDs left to go. Again, these are all from La La Land Records CDs. They do these great limited edition, expanded, really nice collections, and I just fleeced their sales section recently, and now they're all at my house. A horror movie from the 80s that I saw recently, The House on Sorority Row. Got that limited edition soundtrack. That was a fun little horror movie from the 80s. This was limited to 2,000 CDs, 20 tracks on it. So if you haven't delved deeply into sort of B-movie horror of the 80s, House on Sorority Row was a good one. I enjoyed it and couldn't believe that La La Land actually offered a CD in that vein. Okay, I think we're done talking horror for a while because here is the original limited edition and expanded Karate Kid. That's Bill Conti, if I remember correctly. Yep, I can see it on the back now. And we are talking 27 tracks on this one. It includes the entire film score and additional music on. I mean, these are so cool. If it's in the movie, or shoot, even if it was recorded for the movie and got edited out or whatever, you will find them on these really great La La Land CDs. So that's Karate Kid, the original. Oh man, now we're moving into another area that I love. We have Mission Impossible 5 Rogue Nation. One of my very, very favorite series of films is the Mission Impossible series, and they had a few of the more recent ones at the La La Land. I think they even had some of the older ones expanded, but they were sold out. But I find a few of these. Whenever I find them in the clearance section, I pick them up. So Mission Impossible 5 is actually my favorite of the Mission Impossible films. This is a 19-track CD that has all the score from MI5. And of course, where it's going to lead us right into MI6, which is Fallout, which is also an awesome, awesome Mission Impossible film. This is a 2-disc, 32-track total. Nice. That was 5 is a single disc, but 6 is a double disc. Fallout was another awesome film. Very, very cool. Lorne Balfe does the music for 6. Part 5 was Joe Kramer. And then I have part 7, which is the last one that came out, Dead Reckoning. And this is a 15-track single CD from the latest one. And I'm really looking forward to part 8, the final mission this summer. Very cool stuff. And lastly, you see my jacket. I am a G.I. Joe fan. I picked up the Snake Eyes soundtrack CD. Now, I won't get into the great debate. All right, I'll dabble into the great debate. I love G.I. Joe. Snake Eyes was different from what I'm a G.I. Joe 80s kid, so there was a fair amount of differences in this. I was still able to enjoy the film. I wish it was more like what I remember as a kid from the 80s G.I. Joe, but I'm not mad at it. And I liked it enough to grab the 2-disc 44-track CD set. So I'll be enjoying the musical score from there. And hey, you mentioned G.I. Joe, and he comes out of the woodwork. Jim Meal shows up, says, there we go. He is known as Jim the Joe Junkie here on the Longbox Crusade Network, host of G.I. Joe Chronicles Outpost episodes. So G.I. Joe is near and dear to his heart. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Jarrod's going hog wild in the soundtrack sale section of La La Land. Oh, almost knocked them all over. La La Land Records and CDs, where they do all the expanded versions, take the deep dives. If you like movie music, again, they're not a sponsor of the show, but if you like movie music, highly recommend going to La La Land to see what they have. Or you want to be like me, you can go into the clearance section and you loot it. So I'll do one final go through of everything that's in my stack from today, with special shout outs to my boy Billy D and my friend Jim the Joe Junkie for stopping by and saying hi in the chat. I have several watchers. I can see the watcher count's doing very well today. Feel free to stop in and say hello as I'm going through the final stack. So it was Snake Eyes, the 2-disc, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, which was a single disc, 2 discs of Mission Impossible Fallout, a single disc of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, a single disc of Karate Kid, 1984, single disc of House on Sorority Row. That's for you folks who are like me and love to dive deep into those 80s films. And then we hit the run of Friday the 13th, where I have the original. This is a 2-disc that has Final Chapter and what's the other one? Final Chapter and A New Beginning. 2 discs has both of them on there. There's part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. This is 7, New Blood. Friday the 13th, Part 3, the 3D one. Friday the 13th, Part 5, 6, 2 expanded. This one has 2 and 3. And this is the Batman 66. That is your mail call for today. It's been a while since I've done a mail call, so I'm glad to have done that. Of course, I always encourage you to check out the Longbox Crusade on, well, we start mainly as a podcast. So if you go to any podcatcher and you type in Longbox Crusade, you're going to find us. Of course, we're here on YouTube. Also, Longbox Crusade, where we release our podcast. And we also do some live and interactive stuff here as well. So we certainly would appreciate it if you gave us a like and a subscription. If you turn on the little bell notifications, and you'll know when I do these pop-up non-scheduled random videos, most of which are mail calls, as I usually get something interesting in the mail, so I open it and share it with you guys. Of course, we love for you to maybe become a Crusaders Club member. The information on that is scrolling at the bottom of your screen, but hey, it's patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you can get extra videos. You get to vote on show content. You get to be prioritized to be guests on our shows. All kinds of really cool stuff is available. Patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you should jump on that. And just as I'm getting out of here, my friend Scott jumps on and says, are Friday the 13th considered hockey movies? They have the mask, but not as much blood or as many fights. You can always get on Scott for the joke. Now, Scott, you missed it earlier when I did point out for the surface level Friday the 13th fans, and you might already know this, Scott, but he actually gets the hockey mask in Part 3. In Part 1, you only see him as a child. In Part 2, you see him as he wears a potato sack over his head. Part 3, he picks up the hockey mask. So I do appreciate you coming by and saying hello, Scott. You make it fun. Thanks to Scott, Billy, and Jim, who came in to say hi and support me during the live stream. So that's it for today's pop-up out of nowhere live stream of Mail Call. Hopefully I'll be doing some more of these in the future. In the meantime, I have to go open each and every one of these and put them in my computer and rip them so I can put them on my Plex so I can have them digitally wherever I want them. That's the beauty of Plex. That's a whole other video for another stream. All right, guys, thanks again for being here. I'm Jarrod Albrecht, the Yard Sale Artist. You can find me at Yard Sale Artist on X, Facebook, and Instagram if you want to chat with me. And of course, Longbox Crusade. It's at Longbox Crusade, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky. I think Pat made us a Blue Sky account. So yeah, that's me. That's it. And I'll catch you guys later. I'm acting frozen.